Okay, I'm going to take you through some of the questions from exercise 11E, question 1, 3 and 7. Here's question 1. Lucas lives in Strasbourg and his sister Kayla lives in Vancouver. Calculate the time difference between Strasbourg, and we're told that Strasbourg is in the time zone of +1, and Vancouver, which is in the time zone of -8. So our strategy for A, we're going to construct a number line. We'll put 0 in the middle. That's our Greenwich mean time, or our 0 time if you like. Strasbourg's +1, so it's going to be on the right hand side over here. So I'm going to put the +1 there, and I'm going to put a capital S for Strasbourg. And Vancouver is at -8, so it'll be to the left. I don't have to worry too much about the scale, as long as I've got things in their appropriate positions on the number line. So we'll call Vancouver, give that a V. The time difference between those two, so between Strasbourg and GMT, well, there's 1 hour there, and between GMT and Vancouver there's 8 there, and so that's a total of 9 hours time difference, just adding those two together because they're on opposite sides of the Greenwich meridian. For part B, what time is it in Strasbourg if it's 3 p.m. on Monday afternoon in Vancouver? So we've got the time for Strasbourg, so I'm going to go onto my diagram here and write down 3 p.m. We want to know what the time is in Vancouver, so we're wanting to know the time in this direction. That means that we're going to take this time, and because it's in this direction, we're going to subtract the time difference to get the local time in Vancouver. So 9 hours before 3 p.m. Well, if we go back 3 hours, we get to 12 p.m. That means we've got an extra 6 hours. So in Vancouver, the local time will be 6 a.m. in the morning, which is 9 hours prior to 3 p.m. We haven't crossed past midnight, so it's still Monday, and you could put Monday morning if you'd like, but any time in a question where it quotes the day, you should also quote that day, just in case that day has in fact changed. So there's question 1. Question 2, Julia lives in Sydney. We've given the time zone there, it's +10, so it's 10 hours ahead of GMT. Tyler lives in LA, and that's at -8. So if we go to our construct a quick timeline, we'll put 0 in the middle, that's our GMT time. We've got Sydney at +10, and we've got LA at -8. And hopefully we want to work out the time difference for part A. The time difference, it's obviously 10 hours between here and here, and it's 8 hours between here and here, so that gives us a total time difference 8 plus 10, which is 18 hours difference. Julia would like to call Tyler at 0000, which is midnight on Monday for New Year's Eve. So Julia lives in Sydney, I'll just put a J here for Julia, and she wants to ring Tyler, who's in LA. At what time of the day in Sydney should Julia phone? So she wants to ring Tyler when it's midnight in LA. So let's make this, I'm just going to work in AM PM time, so that's 12 AM. What's the time going to be in Sydney when she does that? So we want to know the time somewhere in this direction, going from left to right. So we're going to add the time difference on here, the time difference being 18 hours. So 12 AM, if we add 18 hours to that, and it's probably why they gave it to us in 24-hour time, because if we add 18 hours to that time, we're going to get 1800 hours, better known as 6 p.m, which you could have done just by adding 18 to that as well. So the answer to this question, at what time and what day should Julia ring? Well, she should ring at 6 p.m. It'll be the same day, which will be Monday on New Year's Eve, a little bit later on in the day for her. The last example question, Andrew lives in Moscow. We've been given the time zone. He wants to record the US Open tennis final. That tennis match is due to begin at 2 p.m. on Sunday in New York, and that's at -5. On what day and at what time must Andrew need to start recording? So what's the time in Moscow so that he gets this match in New York? There's only one part to this, but we first of all need to go and work out the time difference. So Moscow is at +3. New York is at -5. The other bit of information we're given is that the final starts at 2 p.m. and that's in New York City. So we're going to put here 2 p.m. and just take note. I won't write it on the diagram, but that's Sunday. So the time difference, if I put 0 there, it's 3 hours from here to here, 5 hours from here to here. So that's a total time difference of 8 hours. We want to know the time in Moscow for that recording to happen, so we want to know the time in this direction. That means we're going to add the time difference to 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. plus 8 hours, that's going to give us a local time in Moscow of 10 p.m. at night. So on what day and at what time will Andrew need to record? Well, we haven't clicked over to the next day, so it will be Sunday, and so the correct answer there will be 10 p.m. on Sunday. And if you like, you could write Sunday night. So the strategy for these questions, class, is to draw a number line up, work out your time difference, and then if you can work out whether you're adding or subtracting time depending on where the location is that you want to find out, then it's simply a little bit of math of adding or subtracting the time difference from the local time that you already have. Hopefully that helps.